Hello, everybody. It is Wednesday, November 30th. Um, I'm stuck at home with COVID, not feeling too good, in isolation still. And so I'm gonna throw a couple pots on the pottery wheel, and I figured I'd bring you in. The firing that I did last week came out pretty good. I'll show you like some of my, I'm sure I've already shown it, but like some of my mugs turned out really nice. And so I want to throw some mugs for the full-time preachers in my congregation. They're called Pioneers. And so I wanted to make them some coffee mugs, being that the winter's getting pretty cold. So it's a good time to have a nice warm beverage. So I had a stamp made through Justin's Makery entitled, it says Pioneering, the Best Life Ever. So I wanted to make some mugs that had that stamped on the front of them. I did throw like two mugs already, bodies yesterday or the day before. I'm still trying to kind of spray them down with water to keep them moist, but I have some more clay weighed up, and I'm going to go ahead and throw a few. And I don't really have very many videos of me throwing. I'm still not the greatest thrower, but I'm going to throw a few, and we can talk about it. All right, let's see here. I'm always trying to think like what's a good angle. I could do one from the top. Well, let me shoot maybe a couple from the side, and then maybe I could shoot a video or a little video from the top maybe. I don't know if that's helpful or not, but let's go ahead and do this. I had left my pad of clay out and it had dried out, so let's go ahead and get that off. I'm throwing everything out of stoneware. I'm starting to think that I might like to start throwing some clay out of something else, like maybe maybe a white stoneware or something like that. Not that I don't like the look of these ones with the brown stoneware. You know, you can see what the clay body looks like on those. I mean, it's nice, and I think it looks good with the wood ash. So I don't know. It's like you're always trying something different. You try something, you have some good results, and you want to try something else. But anyway, so seems like I've been throwing faster more recently. I got one. These are 1 pound clay balls that are. I wedged them up okay a little bit. I'll do a little more wedging on the wheel, I think. It's always good to do a little bit of wedging on the wheel. Honing up. So once you're happy that you got it nice and centered, you go ahead and start breaking in. This clay is still nice and soft, I can tell. The big thing is just making sure that you keep your clay nice and wet so your fingers don't start dragging. I still think I probably tend to throw a little too thin on the bottom. I had one of my mugs actually, I think you'll see it on the video. I lost one of my mugs because it was so thin. It was fine during the glazing process. I didn't see any problems, but when it went and fired, I had a ring all the way around where it cracked through. That was a little bit of a bummer. Alright, so go ahead and start bringing it up a little bit here. clay is actually very soft. Maybe not planning to be quite so fast. Unfortunately, I got a little something in the wall already right here that I can feel. Not sure what it is exactly. I don't know if it's a bubble. Sometimes you can kind of work around it. Could be a bubble. Let me see if I can kind of. Stab it a little bit here. Few little ripples in this clay, but you know, your clay is not always going to be perfect. You got to learn to work around it. As I said, the more I've been doing this, the more I've been finding I'm getting a nice, consistent, thin rim. All the way, the whole wall is quite thin. I've been getting, higher and higher. Bring the mouth in a little bit. Still like to go for a little bit more height. So I'm going to go ahead and compress in the wall just a bit. Get a little bulge, don't want that. Get a little bit of a ripple there. So just trying to kind of re-support that wall a little bit. Still quite a bit of clay at the bottom here. I usually am trying to maybe reach for 5.5 inches tall. And I'm actually between 5.5 and 5 3/4, so it's got plenty of height now. And then now we just got to start thinking about, obviously, you can see I'm still not that great at throwing a really flat cylinder by hand always. I tend to kind of still wave a little bit as I'm lifting. But at this point now, I'll just go more for with my rib or whatever, trying to do a little bit of shaping. So, for example, just play around with it so you get kind of a shape that you enjoy. Obviously that mouth is a pretty wide mouth still, so I'm actually going to put a little bit more water right up here at the top, because I'd like to bring that top in a little bit. Give her a little more slender of a look. So shaping I've still found to be my kind of, I don't want to say my nemesis, but my challenge. Of all the things that I've learned to do so far, I still find that to be the most tricky thing for me. There we go, that's more kind of the shape that I was looking for. Kind of a tapering body coming up. Still like to bring in that top a little bit. But I'd like that side to actually kind of be more almost hourglass shaped. I'm going to try to maybe. I don't know, it's kind of a weird thing. There we go. Alright, now I'm going to get my throwing stick. I'm roughly happy with that shape. And I will smooth that out a little bit as I clean the slip off the sides here. So I'm going to go ahead, use my throwing stick. A little bit of a bulge right there I want to get out. And I got my collar, but I do want to flare it just a bit out at the lip. See that? Actually, kind of like that. A little bit bigger of a collar. Yeah, I think I like that a little bit better, actually. The collar's tapered in a little bit, and it's a little bit wider of a collar. I think I like that. Now at the bottom here, we're going to use the extra clay to put a foot. So we're going to just kind of push it up a little bit. go ahead and maybe put a few throwing rings on here. They're not throwing rings, but rings. Okay. Go ahead and clean the wheel head back a little bit. And at this point, it's a good time. I'm not sure what I do with my big sponge. That's all right. I got my towel. And there we go, though. And then we'll go ahead and grab the wrong cutoff wire. Got my twisted cutoff wire here. I wish I could think what I do with my big sponge. It's okay. Actually, let's go ahead and move that over a little bit. All right, so you just turn the wheel slowly. Oh, I forgot two other important parts of this. One, you gotta get the water out of the bottom of your pot. I got so excited about shaping the outside here. I got my inside maintenance. Funny how when you get out of practice, these things happen. Like that. And you can always kind of fuss with it and fiddle with it after it's kind of leather hard. You just want to get the main shape off on it at this point. And then you want to always remember to leather your rim. There we go. That's good. Now we're ready to cut it off. There you go. Clean off your wire. And then at that point, you just want to make sure your hands are clean so you can palm it. As good as surface contact as you can, just kind of lift up like that. And set it down. That's it. There it is over there. All right, let's go ahead and do another one. We're playing with different shapes here. All right. Hands nice and wet. I like to center kind of fast. I find that it's easier for me to do some of these motions if my wheel's going pretty fast. centered. Now I'm breaking in. You can slow the wheel down a little bit at that point if you want. Might be going a little fast. Real thin spot right in this rim. I don't know if I'm going to be able to pull that one off. May end up having to cut that off a little bit. We'll see. Perhaps if I can press this wall a little bit, make it a more narrowed top. As you collar in your top, your wall automatically thickens a little bit. So I have this weak spot right here. I'm sure you can see it. And obviously I got real kind of crazy with the rim here. I'm going to actually go ahead and trim a little bit of this unevenness off. I probably didn't need to be throwing so fast, to be honest. Let's see what we can do about cleaning this up a little bit. There we go. Okay. See what we can do about prettying this up just a bit. That thin spot's still pretty noticeable. I'd like to see if I can work with it. So right now I'm just kind of trying to even up my top again here. Alright, I think I'm ready to go ahead and try to see if I can lift this again. A lot of clay left in the bottom. Now as I get to that weak spot, I'm going to ease up on the pressure because I don't want to cause any more issues with that. I may even compress that again. Not compress the rim, but actually collar in a little bit again. Just to try to give myself every possibility that I can pull that thin spot, keep it from breaking through. So I'm going to collar in, and then I'm also going to compress the walls a little bit like that. Not much, just a little bit. Okay. Re-wet my walls. Try to get the last little bit of height that I can get out of this. There's still quite a bit of clay here at the bottom I can feel. Okay. And again, I'm not trying to do too much here at the top. Just trying to preserve it, you know, keep it okay. Okay, and again, as far as height goes, I'm probably more than tall enough. Let's see. Here's my. Again, I want to at least be 5.5. I'm really close to 6 inches, so more than enough height out of it. Maybe on this one we'll do, being that it's already got kind of an uneven texture here, rather than trying. I could smooth it off and still make it look pretty. Pretty decent, I'm sure, but maybe I'll do a swirl mug so that it will, the form itself purposely has a swirl and an unevenness to it. A lot of times if you do something like that, you know, sometimes you make a mistake and you throw something perfect and it's not really going to be suitable for one type of form. But again, like with the swirl mug, it's supposed to have an irregularity to it. That's part of what you're trying to do. So in that case, what I'm going to want to do is maybe, I don't know if I can stretch this out a little bit. It seems like I got a pretty good seems like I have a pretty good even thickness all the way through. So I'm just trying to flare it out ever so slightly. And now to do the actual swirl, now if the bulge is a little too much on one, you can kind of go back and play with it a little bit, but really the more that you play with it, kind of the crazier that's likely to get. I'm just going to bring it back in just a little bit so it's not quite so dramatic. Now at the top here, why don't we go ahead and try to actually pretty this up and make it a little bit more of an even or a consistent collar. Little kind of bulbous in the center. I can kind of bring that in a little bit. Yeah, I like that a little more. And that's kind of a pretty dramatic swirl on there. Not Not sure if I like it or not. Yep, and that's the end of that. Oh well, my. Now we'll just cut that one off and call our losses on that one. That's a failure. That's all right. You're not failing though when you really fail. You're practicing. You're learning what not to do next time. So let's go ahead and start over. Go ahead and clean this up. Then we'll head back. Actually, I'm going to go get a little bit more water for my water tub there. Okay. Let's see here. Wash my hands off a little bit. Add a little water to the water container here. No worries. All right. Here we go. Breaking in. Try not to go too deep. It might be pretty close right there. You don't want to leave so much clay that you get this big, huge, fat bottom, but you also don't want to cut through with your wire. This clay is pretty soft. Still, it really is. See that I try to keep my my fingers, my thumbs locked together. That gives me some stability to wet my hands a little bit because I just want to bring in just slightly the body here. I'm probably about the height that I want. Let's see where I'm at. Like 5.5 inches. I'm a little shot. I'm at 5 1/4, so I probably want to try to get one more decent lift out of this. I'm actually collaring it in a little bit. Give my give myself a little extra clay to play with here. So I kind of like this hourglass shape, so I don't want to. Let's see here. See if I can get a little bit more out of it. We're at with that. There we go. That's just about 5.5. So we'll call that good. I'm gonna go ahead and just ever so slightly continue to bring in the top here a little bit. I'm liking that bigger collar. Taper the top in just a bit. Throwing stick here. Kind of shape the outside just a little bit. Now I'm not starting all the way exactly at the bottom because I want to save some of that clay down there for my foot ring. So this is kind of a twofold process of what I'm doing with the rib throwing stick here. Is one, I'm getting the excess slip off. And then two, I'm shaping ever so slightly. So now, get that foot ring. Again, we're going to kind of just use the little extra clay that we have here at the bottom. Push it up. And then you can actually kind of use the bottom of your rib a little bit here to maybe indent a little bit. There we go. It's kind of nice to have that nice little slightly defined top of the foot ring. There it is. And go ahead and clean off the bottom. Okay. And that's our finished shape. Now again, well, let's go ahead and add our, I'm gonna leave this open for the badge. I'm not gonna do the throwing rings on this one because I would, well, I guess I could do the badge over the throwing rings. There's nothing to say I couldn't do that. Yeah, maybe it'll give it some interest. So let's go and we'll do a couple, not throwing rings, but just do a couple of rings here. Okay. I'm gonna have to let some of that dry. It's so soft that some of it's kind of gooing up in the lines themselves. Again, it's just to give it a little texture, but I suppose I could do the badge right over the top of those rings. It really shouldn't be a problem, I guess. So at this point now, we want to go ahead and clean up the inside. Remember to clean up the inside. These would more be for probably the brothers from the hall. You know, it's kind of a more masculine mug tankard shape. For the sisters, I plan on doing kind of, again, more either the swirl mugs or there's that other kind of top-heavy shape that I've kind of done to give it kind of a more feminine curve to it. So there we got the water out. Now we want to go ahead and always chamois leather your rims. Leather them on a flop right here. That's pretty much the shape. Now we want to go ahead and wire it up. Make sure you got clean hands and palm it. Lift it off. That's pretty thin. And there they are. Let's go ahead and do one more. We'll do this more. Maybe this will be a swirly mug. I still haven't really quite got the whole swirly mug thing down yet, to be honest with you. I can tend to get a little crazy with the shape of it as I'm making the swirl. start breaking in. You always want to open your base further than you really need to. It's always not that big a deal to kind of push in the clay at the bottom as you're lifting. You know, I kind of dig in with my outside hand each time to grab that extra bit of clay. But also what that allows you to do is get real nice 90-degree corners in the bottom of that pot. You know, if you're in too much at the bottom down here, and then you're pushing it out, you know, you're going to tend to get that kind of just sweeping bottom and leave a lot of clay in that corner. But when you go wide like this and bring it back and are lifting, you basically, if my left hand here is the bottom of the pot, you know, and you're wide, and as you're pushing in that bottom, you see how you get that real good 90-degree corner between my two hands, the wall of the pot right here and the bottom. But I said, if you start, you know, too narrow and are trying to push it out, you tend to leave a lot of clay in that bottom corner. At least I do. I'm sure everybody has their own preferences. So I'm going to start lifting up the wall a little bit. I'm always just kind of giving my last little look here of the put a little swirly design on the bottom. I haven't really practiced that too much, but it is something I do like the way it looks. The way the glazes sometimes will break over the bottoms of your pots. Having a kind of a swirl at the bottom is kind of neat. So again, I'm kind of just bringing it all in a little bit. Make sure that pot is very well watered when you go to lift. Actually, I probably don't need to be quite that fast. Alright. My finger's dragging on it a little bit. This is why I'm getting that kind of undulations here. You can still continue to lift, but you really got to lighten up on the pressure a lot. That was not really the greatest lift. Really just making sure that the outside is very well wet. Try that again. Much better. You like it when you get that real nice slip built up on your fingertips. As I'm lifting, I'm actually lifting mostly, for me, my inside. I'm kind of like touching maybe with my middle finger and my index finger a little bit to stabilize the inside of the pot, but I'm mainly lifting. I'm kind of curling this middle finger in and really lifting with the front of that pad up against my fingers and dragging the clay up my finger. Really, the best thing to probably do for drag would be just to keep just these two fingertips touching, you know, this one my outside hand slightly under, and lift them up together. But I've just been finding a really good consistency with just keeping mostly my inside hand just kind of stationary or slightly coming up, but doing most of my forming with the outside here. That right hand on the inside is, my left hand on the inside is just mainly just steadying the wall. Oh, that's a little dry down there. We have quite a bit of clay still here up at the top of the rim. What did I say? We're going to go ahead and do like a swirl mug on this one, so maybe I'll try to taper taper the mug a little bit, flare it out, and then swirl it. I don't know how well it's going to work. Again, I'm not that great at this, to be honest with you. Still quite a bit of clay down here. I don't want to leave. I'm going to start flaring it out now, actually. Trying to. Probably more than tall enough, I'm thinking. Probably at that 5.5. Oh yeah, well over 5.5. And I think it's amazing how I think there's still some clay in there that I could really, if I had wanted to, really work with to get it bigger. But I really don't want it any bigger than that. I like them all to be roughly the same amount of size. So so now let's just go ahead and use my rib for my throwing stick here and just start to shape the outside a bit. Ooh. Easy there, Joe. See, I got a little too much drag there on my my rib. I started to actually I don't like that shape actually, but I started to drag, and that wall started to ripple on me a little bit. Yeah, I kind of like that though, that it kind of tapers out and then it kind of comes back in. But it's a little more than the other ones that I've done in the past. It's a little more angular, if you notice. Got kind of more of a shoulder here than just being completely round the way I've kind of done them in the past. I kind of like that. Let me go ahead and use a little bit of this clay down here and put the foot in. The foot ring. I don't know if I want to swirl that one or not. I kind of like the shape of it. I might just do that one that way and see how it comes out as the firing. Partly because I've lost my nerve, because I tend to mess up a lot of my swirls. And when I've already got kind of a shape that I like, I'm not sure that I want to mess with it. I kind of like that. Kind of like that. Maybe we'll just go ahead and leave that one at that. So at that point, again, we want to go ahead and clean up the inside. Get all the water out of the bottom. Couldn't believe sometimes how much water is in the bottom, probably close to 3/4 of an inch down there. Gotta soak all that up. It kind of does flatten out the swirl I put down there a little bit. It wasn't really a super heavy duty swirl. Alright, so that's all cleaned up out of the inside. I want to chamois the rim. See if I can get my rib and just see if I can define that shoulder a little more evenly, cleanly all the way across. Yeah, I like it to be kind of consistent. There we go. I know these seem like they maybe look kind of big, and honestly, even to me on the wheel, that's a big stein. But again, you got to remember this is going to shrink 10-12%, 10-12%. So. Shimmy that rim one last time. Very nice. Look it over. I like it. And let's go ahead and cut it off. Okay. Always clean off your wire. Make sure your hands are clean. Got a hair in my hand here. Don't want that cutting into my pot. And palm it. That one's pretty thin on the bottom. You can see it's actually sagging. That might be another one where I lose it in the kiln, unfortunately. And there you go. So, a couple mugs. And like I said, you let those dry, handle them. Yeah, we'll see how they all turn out. Like I said, these are the other ones that I had already thrown. So I got plenty to get a few handles on. I got about 30 of these to make all together. So, yep, and I'll start stamping out the stamps, and we'll go from there. So, thank you for joining me, and until I see you next time. Oh, if you enjoyed the video, please don't forget to like and subscribe, or even share the video link with others. And again, I hope you enjoyed it. And until I see you next time, don't be afraid to get your hands dirty. I'll talk to you later. Bye.